Welcome to the Freedom Founder Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Duggar. Now, I have my guest today, Jonathan Rivera, joining me to talk a little bit about his experience on his path towards freedom. Jonathan, thank you for joining me today.
Hey, brother, I'm nervous. You said we're going live? Hello, people out there.
We are in it right now. So if you're listening to this live or you're watching it live, or if you're listening to it later, the content I'm anticipating is going to be great nonetheless, either way. So thank you again for joining me. Now, I love to always start with just the topic of where your foundation began, because usually people who see the success you are now don't always know where that started or how that started, and they don't always understand that there's work involved or there's struggle involved on that front end.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Who doesn't get any kind of success without some suffering? In fact, the suffering is usually the motivator to help us be successful. And so I'm grateful to have been motivated quite a lot in my life, getting kicked in the butt over and over again, to be living a life that today I find, listen, I'm going to put it out there. This is what my wife and I say. My wife, I call her Cupcake. This is what we call ourselves, free people. We look at each other, and when we're doing an interview in the middle of the day, or whether we're out with our kid or whatever, we look at each other and we're like, we're free people. And it didn't come easy, but it came from experience. It came from a desire to want something differently. I saw how my parents struggled as I was growing up, and I did not want that for myself. And by luck and by God's grace, I'm here with you today to talk a little bit about being free, about having that better life, about the growth. But yeah, it came with all sorts of challenges, but I'm grateful for all of them.
Yeah, no, I like that. And I like that you indicated that you and your wife look at each other and you acknowledge that freedom by God's grace, that you've been able to get to this point and place where you are now, but also that you did go through some challenges yourself and some learning experience along the way. I imagine that you probably made some wrong decisions at some point that you later realized that was a big learning experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's pretty common knowledge, especially for people like us and you who are here with us. I'm sure you guys have heard it as well. Is the only real learning happens in failure, and that's why I think school is so messed up, right? Because in school, I was bad at school, by the way. In school, F is failure. F is bad. You want to stay away from the F, but in my experience, and I know in yours too, Zach, that's where the learning happens, when the stuff hits the fan. And so I want to drop right now, if we can, a tool that I use to turn failure into success. Would that be okay?
Absolutely.
So I call it the course corrector tool. And I take my failures as lessons. So I ask myself 3 questions. Look, you don't need much for this. This is not going to be high tech. And you might even be disappointed at how simple it is. But if you use it, I promise it will change your life. You need a piece of paper, a pencil, and you need to ask yourself 3 questions about whatever it is that you are thinking about. What worked? What didn't work? And what could I do differently? So I use this all the time in everything I do. After this interview, I'll say, what worked? What didn't work? What could I do differently? I do it all the time. And it helps me take situations that may not necessarily have turned out great and turn them into stepping stones to my next big success. So the course corrector tool, what worked? What didn't work? What could I do differently? Ask yourself that every time you hit the big F, failure, and I guarantee you'll just step on those rungs and start climbing your way up.
Yeah, it's definitely a different way to look at it than the traditional school looking at the grade of an F, but really, realistically, those failures are great learning opportunities. And I like that too, how simple that tool is, that you can just ask yourself those simple questions as you go along the way. Even something like doing a podcast episode, how can you improve it for the next time? If there was something that worked, didn't work, how can you make it better? So I like that. I think that's a great tool for our guests. Okay, so you had some things that didn't work along the way. I know usually we want to hit all the highlights of what did work, but I'd love to just hear some things that you learned from, some things that didn't work and that you learned from?
I mean, right now we're sitting here speaking to each other. It's the afternoon on a beautiful Tuesday, and you know what worked today? I was at Corona, which is a cigar bar down the road,
Mhm.
a couple minutes ago, having a cigar and doing my work. That works for me. How can I do more of that? But the bad decisions that I've made, and I hate to admit, I continue to make and learn from,
Mhm.
is the things a priority? What is my purpose? What should I be doing? What shouldn't I be doing? And so, for instance, when I started my business, I did everything. And that's what
Yeah.
we all do as entrepreneurs. We wear all hats. What isn't good there is the ego that comes with it. And look, I
Mhm.
get it. You're starting a business, you have to have some ego, some drive, all that stuff to get this thing up and running, because you're going to get knocked down over and over again.
Yeah.
But the mistake that I made early on was thinking anything you can do, I can do better. So what does that mean? That I'm doing everything. And that is the
Mhm.
absolute worst. That is the absolute worst. And you have to do it when you're starting a business because you don't have a choice. But as you grow, you have to let go of that ego and find other people to support you on your mission so that you can do your very best work. So totally, I was smoking a cigar and I was working on some copy, some lead work, some client work, right? That's the stuff that I do. That's the stuff that
Yeah.
nobody on my team does like me. So I've started looking at what are the things that I do, and let's just drop another lesson, right? So
Yes.
when you're growing a business, you ought to be looking every quarter at what you did that last quarter and doing a course corrector. What worked, what didn't work, what could I do differently? And then stack on top of it, what do I want more of? What do I want less of? So now you add this stack of, okay, well, I want more of talking to my clients. I want less of creating content. So I talk to my clients, I hire a copywriter, and I just edit his work. This is how you start leveling up in business, but you got to let go of that ego. So that was the biggest
Mhm.
mistake I think early on, and we can go as deep as you want on my bad leadership qualities, my bad ego, whatever you want, bro. I'm an open book. But I realized that you have to, and here's a lie. You want to hear a lie
Yeah.
that people
Let's
tell?
do it.
And all of you
Yep.
are gonna be shocked because you believe this lie, as I did. You got to work harder, not smarter. Eh. I think you got to work dumber. What? Work dumber? Yeah, because when you're in that working smarter phase, you're in that ego where anything you can do, I can do better. What you have to realize is, and what it took me way too long to realize, was I needed to work dumber and hire smarter.
Mhm.
So instead of trying to learn how to do the landing pages and the funnel and this and that, no, 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 no. Hire people who are experts in those fields. Hire people
Yeah.
that can get it done quickly, have experience, done multiple of those. They're smarter than you. You can just pay them money and they will get it done infinitely quicker than you. And so that's one of the things that I had to learn and I keep learning, but I'm getting better at now. That's why I was able to go smoke that cigar earlier and chill and then come
Yep.
here and hang out with you, was letting go, hiring people that are smarter than me, letting them do their work and then learning and collaborating with them. Learning and collaborating, and then I grow, but I grow as a leader instead of a doer. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. They'll get it done faster and do a better job
Way
because
better.
you're working with people that are right in their lane, their level of expertise, rather than doing it all yourself. It absolutely makes sense. Definitely not something that people say, though, work dumber. It's not something I've heard anyone else say at this point.
Oh, it's a hard lesson, bro. But
Yeah.
I'm incredibly grateful because it's allowed me to have magnificent people working alongside me who we can contribute to each other's growth. And so it's way more fulfilling for me today to be a leader instead of the worker.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. No, I don't know that all our guests know you or what business you are operating in and what you are doing now. So, talk a little bit about the podcast factory and other work that you're doing.
Zach, you are so kind. Fact is, none of you know me. And that's fine. Maybe today we get to know each other, right? But I'll
Absolutely.
tell you my mission, okay? And this is what guides everything I do. the right words from the right person at the right time can change your life. And conversations like this one with you and me, conversations that maybe we hear at an expo, an event, a trade show, somebody's doing a presentation, we hear something, we've heard it 1,000 times, but this time we hear it differently.
Mm.
Reading a biography, all those things. I've experienced those moments. I know you guys have too, or else you wouldn't be listening to this show. And so my whole life's purpose is to bring those right words to the right people at the right time through the work I do at the Podcast Factory. So I'm working with experts who have a good message, who have a mission, who have a purpose, and who need more people to hear it. And I help them connect their words to those ears that need them. It's like planting seeds in fertile ground. We make sure that your message connects with the exact right listener. And of course, we're not looking at a podcast as, hey, I'm Joe Rogan and I'm going to have a big audience. We look at it a little differently. Hey, I'm Jonathan Rivera. I'm going to have a very little audience, but they're going to be people who I can really connect with, who I can really help, who I can really move the dial for. And that's our whole practice at the Podcast Factory. You got to have a business, you got to have a message and mission, and then we'll help you connect it to more people so you can drive revenue, right? Revenue. And so that you can drive transformation. And that's what I look for in the work. And that's my mission.
So it's not just about starting a podcast and getting those processes in place, but actually creating value by the efforts that you're putting into to connect people with the right audience, the right time, with the right words that they're putting into their work. Their business then is able to then be driven through that additional effort done through podcasting.
Yeah, it's a thing that we're looking for when we work with people. I want to get on your mission. I want to help you. So I got to love that mission. And if I love that mission, pal, I am your best friend. And so that is fulfilling work for me. But look, I'm trying not to have ego, but there is some ego here. I want to help people.
Absolutely.
I want to help people. So I want to be a part of this. Even if you don't ever know my name, if you don't know my face or who I am, I want to help people through the work I'm doing, because a lot of people say, oh man, look at this world we're in. Look at the way these people act. Look at it. What are you doing about it? And so I feel like I'm doing something about it. I'm bringing you the best, most uplifting, positive messages of people I know that can change your lives. And I get to do that every day at scale. And my goal here in the next 10 years, here it comes. I want to help 10 million people change their lives.
Yes.
Dude, I'm not nuts. I can't do it by myself. I'm not that entertaining. I'm not that handsome. But I can do it by helping other experts, other people who I can jump on their mission and help them expand their reach.
Right. And like you said, people may not then, those 10 million may not all know your name. Many of them won't, but
they won't. But guess what? I know who's keeping score. My Father up above is keeping score. So I'm good.
Yes, absolutely. You got that right. So how did you get into this whole mission and vision and what you're doing now with the Podcast Factory? I mean, did you wake up one day and decide, I'm going to help people make a better podcast so that they can connect with their audience the right way so that they can get their business driven? Or how did that work?
Come on, man. You're giving me way too much credit. I told you I'm working dumber. I'm dumb, man. I'm simple-minded. So it worked like this. I bought products, I had coaching, all this stuff, right? When I was learning to be an entrepreneur and grow a business, and I had people who helped me out a ton, and I became friends with them. And I wanted to do something for them because they had done so much for me. And I was the only one in my crew at that time, because I've been podcasting since 2008. A minute ago.
Sure.
It's a little while ago, before they were as popular as they are today. But I was the only one of my friends that knew how to do it, and that was the nerdy side of me. And so I'm like, hey, you help me out a bunch. You want to try something cool? You want to try a podcast? I'll do all the work. We can partner up. And I figured that, number one, I was doing something to make the world a better place even then when we started, because these people had helped me. And so they were the real deal. They weren't pretenders. They weren't fake gurus or any of that stuff. They were real people doing real things. And so I thought, number one, I can do something for you. We can connect and get this thing on the air. Number two, we can help our listeners improve their lives, which would be awesome. And number three, hey, maybe it'll drive some more business for you, which it does if you do it correctly. And
Mhm.
so it was just a matter of right place, right time, I guess, and being open to reaching out to people and connecting with them and having them explore a new thing. Because I told you it was a long time ago. Podcasts weren't quite
Yeah.
as popular, but there's been iterations. Before I was just doing it with friends, and I was like 7 days a week on shows with my friends. Like, it
Mhm.
got a little crazy. Eventually, we realized this was a business opportunity. So we opened the podcast factory to other people.
Yep.
And since then, we've been growing in how we deliver our services, how we deliver our value, and it has changed. In the beginning, people just wanted to be at the top of the charts, so we got them at the top of the charts. After
Right.
that, people had sales teams, and they wanted to make their sales teams numbers better, easier
Mhm.
closes. So we did that, and nowadays we're doing work with what we call the client cartel system, where we're using interviews to connect our hosts with their ideal guests and opening up
Yep.
opportunities through the podcast interview.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you've had to have an evolution over time with what the need was for your clients.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if we're not
Yeah.
innovating, we're dying.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I agree with that 100%. So with that being said, now, do you have any metrics around how many business or clients you've helped, or anything around the companies that you've worked with that, not to expand ego, because now, like you said, it's not just you. You have a team working alongside of you to help make this mission happen.
Yeah. So I haven't checked recently, but the last
Mhm.
time was something like 119, 122 experts that we have helped
Yeah.
launch shows, hundreds of thousands of revenue. I don't follow all their numbers, but the
Yep.
client's certainly happy when it works. Um, Last time I checked, which was in January, overall 6 million plus downloads over all of our shows. But for me, the most important thing is when we go and look at our hosts. Number one, is their revenue up? Yes, and
Yep.
we're doing our job. And number two, when we're looking for the change lives part, sometimes that comes through when you start looking at testimonials, or no,
Yeah.
what do they call them again? Reviews, testimonials. People
Yeah.
reviewing the show. You changed my life with this episode. Whatever it is. I know you've seen them too in your
Oh yeah.
reviews, but those are the things that I look for. Um, as far as numbers, I don't look at necessarily audience size or any of that, but I just want transformation. I want to change lives. I want to be doing something that matters.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and then multiplying that through the work you do with others, like you said, over 119 different experts, and being able to help them put together their material and put it out there to their audience in a way that creates that opportunity for transformation.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
blessing. Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I want to ask a question that I like to ask all of my guests, and it's just pretty simple, straightforward. If you were to be handed $1 million today with no strings attached whatsoever, how would you invest that in your business or another endeavor, and why?
Oh wow. It's weird what just came to my mind. I don't even know if I should say it because my wife cupcake would kill me. I feel that if I was just handed $1 million with no strings, I'd
Yep.
likely give it to my favorite charities and keep doing what I'm doing.
Okay.
I'm perfectly happy with the money we're making now. I'm perfectly happy with the way that my life is set up right now, because I told you it's
Yeah.
about priorities. And I'm in a season of my life right now where I'm realizing I am blessed, right?
Hmm.
We're homeschooling our kiddo.
Yep.
It's me and my wife, partners in the business, in this business, and another one.
Yep.
And I get to wake up without an alarm clock, bro. Like, I woke
Hmm.
up today by the sunshine, 7 a.m.
Okay.
Oh, sun, time to get up, right? High sleep score on Aura. I haven't lived like this before, and I'm grateful for it. And I wouldn't want any of that to change, because this is where I'm supposed to
Mhm.
be right now. So thinking about that $1 million gets into my giving muscle, and
Yeah.
I say, I'd like to give that to all my favorite charities. I'll give it
Yeah.
to this charity and that charity and make an impact in their lives. I'll keep doing what I'm doing. And like I said, the only one keeping score up above, right? So I don't care. Nobody
Yeah,
ever has to know about it. But for me, I would like to keep doing what I'm doing right now, because I've never felt so satisfied as I do right now, the way my life is.
that's one of the best answers I've heard.
Okay,
You know, I
good.
mean that freedom that you already expressed, that you already have, that
Yeah,
you already both label as being free, and just what you described, that satisfaction that comes from the work you're doing, that transformation that you see, and those comments, those reviews from the different experts that you've helped. I mean, to just be able to give that back to other people and the good work that they're doing, your favorite charities, I think that's excellent.
I'm
Love
down.
it.
You giving
Yeah.
me a million?
I wish that was in the moment that I could, you
Right.
know. I think sometimes that answer can become something that can trip somebody up, and it can trap them another situation that they are in that rat race or cycle again, where that freedom is no longer uh, theirs in the moment. So,
Yeah, exactly. Look,
um,
right now, I've been thinking about this a lot, and especially anticipating uh, our talk today.
yep,
Is the season, and people don't get this, and it takes evolution to get here, introspection, and of course, getting kicked and getting back up. But man, this is the first time since I've been growing a business, dude, and I've been in business. I don't know, 20 years
yep,
overall. This is the first time in my life, and this is going to sound so strange. I'm not trying to grow the business, and I've spent 20 years trying to grow and hustle and grind and get higher numbers. And I never really, every time I went up a level in those numbers, I never really felt any different. I
yeah,
never really got anything more for an extra 100 grand. Really didn't change my life. Probably increased my tax bill and stressed me. And so
right,
this is the first season of my life where I'm like, I don't care. I'm letting go of that. And what I'm living is something I didn't call it. My man, Mark Acosta Rubio, who I did a podcast with, Double Your Income, Double Your Time Off, helped
no,
me realize this. He helped me realize this idea of flipping the pyramid. A lot of us, when we're building that business, at the top of our pyramid would be growth of the company, power,
mhm,
prestige. And he had me flip the pyramid. What's really important to you? What are you doing all this work for? And when I really thought about it, my pyramid changed. And so I flipped it upside down. So it's, the point, it's pointing down. And at the top, which is the base, faith. So my
mhm,
day, my purpose, my mission, everything's based around my faith. And that comes first, because I need that, is
yep,
what I realized. Then the second one is fitness. And it's weird to have fitness there. Most people would put family there, but I put fitness there. And this was from Mark's helping me, because I have to take care of myself, my body, my temple, so that I can be strong for the Lord to do the work that He has got for me, and so that I can take care of my family and never be a burden on them. So faith, fitness, then my family, which
yeah,
is important. And then what's left at the little point at the bottom, the smallest piece of that pyramid, is the finance piece. And some
yep,
people would say, and I used to say this, and people thought it was silly, where I would say I give the leftovers to work, but it is the leftover of my day after I take care of faith, family, fitness. That's the leftover. But when I show up to work, since I have done all this work with my faith, all of it pouring into
yeah,
myself, when I show up to work, bro, oh, I crush it. I crush it in the smallest amount of time possible. And then I'm back to freedom, back to
yes,
freedom. So right now, I'm not chasing growth, and yet we're making more money. What? Yeah, because we've done other things, gotten better about providing more services to our clients that are valuable to them, gotten better about cutting our costs. And then, can I put a price tag on my days not having a calendar full? I mean, I don't know what that would be worth, because I was
right,
working up to that, never got it. But when I stopped working towards that dollar amount and started focusing on what mattered, I became free, brother.
yes, yes. We're gonna stamp that with an F. Freedom. From dropout to purpose driven, you have that freedom and the success when you find that purpose and that satisfaction in the work you're doing. And I like that too, the flipping of the pyramid and
Oh,
really
that's beautiful.
focusing on that order of your priorities. So, well, if I or guests want to find out a little bit more about you and the good work you're doing, what's the best way for someone to connect with you?
Yeah. So the great Jim Rohn said, "You are the average of the five people you spend the most time with." And so
Yeah.
I don't know how you grew up. I grew up around knuckleheads, so I had to find different people, and you might find them in the library, you might find them in documentaries, or you could
Mhm.
find them at thepodcastfactory.com client showcase. There's at least 100 shows on there, different hosts, uplifting
Yeah.
messages, things that'll change your perspective and change your life. You can pick any one of them and try them
Okay.
out and try different ones out to see who you resonate with. And then if you are a business person with a mission, with a message, and you want to
Mhm.
connect to more people, I might be able to help. Thepodcastfactory.com, and then look for the little call button, and we can grab a quick chat, and I can tell you what I think will work or won't work for you.
Yeah. That sounds perfect. I love that. And I think that it's a great opportunity for people to check out some of the good messages that people have already been putting out there as clients. And then if they're interested in getting a little bit more deep with you and the work that they're doing, the mission that they have, and how you might be able to assist, setting up that call. So I love it. Well, Jonathan, I want to thank you for joining me today. It's been a pleasure talking with you and learning more about the good work you're doing and, the success, the challenges that you've overcome along the way.
Man, I hope we did good. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let Zach know and go give him a rating and review if you liked it.
Absolutely. And I appreciate that more than you know. Thank you very much.